Right in the heart of Arlington, under a cold November sky, they cuffed the tomb guard. Staff Sergeant John Kessler stood like stone as the MP snapped the handcuffs on his eyes, locked forward. Not a flinch, not a word. The crowd at the tomb of the unknown soldier froze, phones half raised, whispers rippling like wildfire. Arresting a sentinel here? One tourist hissed. A kid tugged his mom's sleeve, confused. To them, Kessler was just a guy in a sharp uniform caught in some scandal they didn't understand. But what they didn't know, what nobody in that crowd could have guessed, was that this tomb guard had stopped a bloodbath with a single call 3 days ago. And the four-star general who'd ordered his arrest, striding toward the plaza with fury in his eyes, was about to learn he owed his life to the man he just put in chains. Before we dive into the story, where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe that values like honor, courage, and sacrifice still matter, join us in keeping their legacy alive. Picture this, a cold November afternoon at Arlington National Cemetery, Virginia. The kind of cold that seeps into your bones, makes your breath puff out in little clouds, and turns every sound razor sharp. The sky's a heavy gray, like it's carrying the weight of the stories buried in those endless rows of white headstones. At the tomb of the unknown soldier, a small crowd, maybe 50 people, huddles together wrapped in coats and scarves. Tourists, veterans, a high school history class, a couple of reporters with cameras slung around their necks. They're here to watch the changing of the guard. That solemn, perfect ritual where every step, every movement feels like a promise kept to those who never came home. The air hums with reverence, the kind you feel in your chest, not just here. But what they don't know, what none of them could have guessed, is that they're about to witness something that'll hit the front page of every news outlet by sundown. A moment that'll remind everyone what courage really looks like. The tomb of the unknown soldier sits elevated, its white marble glowing under the soft floodlights as the day fades. The Sentinel Staff Sergeant John Kessler moves with mechanical precision. 21 steps, a crisp turn, a pause. Then 21 steps back. His polished boots click against the stone, each sound slicing through the silence. Kessler's 32, tall, broad-shouldered, with piercing blue eyes that seem to see everything and nothing at once. His uniform's immaculate. Green coat pressed sharp enough to cut glass, white gloves, spotless rifle balanced perfectly against his shoulder. To the crowd, he's a living statue, part of the ceremony that's been unbroken for decades, rain or shine, day or night. But Kesler is more than that. 3 tours in Afghanistan, 2 Bronze Stars, a man who's carried wounded comrades through hell and made calls that saved lives when the wrong movement meant body bags. His record's buried in classified files, but one line from his last evaluation sticks out. Kessler's instincts are a weapon as sharp as any rifle. Today, those instincts are about to change everything. The crowd watches, hushed. A mom whispers to her teenage son, explaining the ritual. See how he doesn't flinch? That's discipline. That's honor. Her kid nods, half listening, his phone half out, ready to snap a picture. Nearby, an older veteran, his jacket heavy with pins, stares at Kesler with something like recognition. He knows the look of a man who's seen war up close. A couple of tourists, probably from out of state, murmur about how cool it is to see this in person. It's like something out of a movie, one says. A reporter from NBC adjusts her camera, sensing a slow news day. But then the atmosphere shifts. A ripple runs through the cloud as a group of men in crisp military uniforms approaches, their boots echoing louder than they should. At the center is General James T. Callahan, a 4-star general, a legend in the Pentagon. His face is all hard lines, his chest a mosaic of medals that tell a story of 30 years in command. He's here for a high-profile memorial event, one with foreign dignitaries and a tight schedule. But something's off. his jaws tight, his eyes locked on Kesler. Callahan stops a few feet from the tomb, his entourage fanning out behind him. The crowd goes quiet, sensing something big. Even the wind seems to hold its breath. Callahan's voice cuts through the chill, calm but heavy with authority. Staff Sergeant Kessler, stand down. You're under arrest for insubordination and disruption of protocol. The words land like a grenade. The crowd gasps, a collective intake of breath. A teenage girl tugs her dad's sleeve. "Dad, what's happening?" He shushes her, eyes wide. The veteran in the pin-covered jacket steps closer to the rope barrier, muttering, "This ain't right." Two MPs, their faces unreadable, step forward. One reaches for Kessler's rifle, sliding it from his shoulder with practiced ease. The other pulls out handcuffs, the metal glinting under the floodlights. Kessler doesn't move, doesn't blink. His posture is still perfect, like he's carved from the same marble as the tomb behind him. The cuffs click shut around his wrists, the sound sharp enough to make a woman in the crowd flinch. "They're arresting him right here," a tourist whispers, his phone already recording. "At the tomb? What the hell did he do?" The NBC reporter's camera is rolling now, her instincts screaming that this is no ordinary moment. A kid in the history class whispers to his friend, "This is going viral, man." From the back, a voice calls out, "Let him speak." It's the veteran, his face red with indignation. You don't cuff a sentinel at the tomb unless he's done something unforgivable. Callahan doesn't look at the crowd. His focus is on Kesler, who finally speaks, his voice low but steady, carrying across the stone plaza. "General, one truth before you take me away. It's about why I broke that order and why you're still here to give it." The MPs freeze, their hands on Kessler's elbows. There's something in his tone, not defiance, not anger, just certainty that makes them hesitate. Callahan's eyes narrow, his gloved hands clasping behind his back. "You'll speak at an inquiry, Sergeant, not here in front of a crowd." But the crowd's not having it. Phones are up, live streams are starting, and murmurs swell into a chorus. "Let him speak," another voice shouts, joined by others. A woman in a wool coat whispers to her husband, "This feels bigger than we thought." Let's rewind a few days to understand how we got here. 3 days ago, during a major memorial ceremony at the tomb, Kesler was on duty. The event was a big deal. Foreign dignitaries, Pentagon brass, a speech from Callahan himself scheduled to honor fallen soldiers. The crowd was bigger than usual, maybe 100 people, all cleared by security. But Kesler, with his radar-like instincts, noticed something off. A man in his 40s, wearing a bulky jacket and carrying a heavy backpack, stood near the edge of the crowd. He kept checking his watch, avoiding eye contact. His shoulders hunched like he was carrying more than just a bag. To anyone else, he might have been just another tourist. To Kesler, he screamed trouble. Kesler radioed for security check, but his CO brushed it off. "We're on a tight schedule, Sergeant. The dignitaries are waiting. Don't make a scene." Kesler pushed back, his voice firm. "Sir, this guy's behavior matches every bomber profile I've studied. We need to check him." The answer was a hard no. Protocol demanded the ceremony stay on track, and Kesler was due to rotate off for the changing of the guard. But he refused to leave his post. Instead, he signaled for a security team to intercept the man, delaying the ceremony by 45 minutes. That decision sent shockwaves. The dignitaries were kept waiting, the schedule thrown into chaos. Callahan, who was set to speak, was furious. To him, Kessler's behavior was a direct challenge to authority, a breach of the discipline that defines the old guard. A report landed on Callahan's desk, labeling Kessler's behavior as gross insubordination and recommending immediate disciplinary action. What the report didn't mention, what was buried in a classified security brief, was that Kessler's instincts were dead on. The man he flagged had been carrying a device in his backpack, one that could have turned the ceremony into a tragedy. But Kessler didn't know that yet. All he knew was what his gut told him, forged in the dust and blood of Afghanistan. And now here he was, handcuffed, standing where no Sentinel had ever been arrested before. Back in the present, the crowd's restless. The veteran's voice rings out again. Let him speak, General. This is the tomb. A few others join their voices, a mix of anger and curiosity. The MPs look to Callahan, unsure. The general's jaw tightens, but he feels the weight of the cameras, the phones, the eyes of Arlington itself. He raises a hand, a small gesture that silences the plaza. 1 minute, Sergeant, he says, his voice like gravel. Make it count. Kesler takes a slow breath, the cuffs glinting as he shifts slightly. When he speaks, his voice is steady, reaching every corner of the crowd. This isn't about defiance, sir. It's about what I saw 3 days ago and what I saw 10 years ago in Afghanistan. Callahan's eyes sharpen, like he's sensing a memory he'd rather not revisit. The crowd leans in, bones forgotten, hanging on every word. Helmand Province, 2016, Kesler begins. You were a colonel then, sir, leading a high-level inspection of a forward base. No press, no fanfare, just a small convoy and a security team. I was on point, running advanced recon. Halfway to the base, I spotted a local near the road, dressed like a farmer but moving wrong. Too tense, too aware. I radioed to halt the convoy and check him out. My call told me to stand down, said we didn't have time, that your schedule was locked in. But I'd seen that posture before in guys who didn't plan to walk away alive. So I made the call. I stopped the convoy and ordered to search. Kesler pauses, letting the silence build. We found a vest under his jacket wired with enough C4 to wipe out every vehicle in that line, including yours, sir. Callahan's face changes, just a flicker, but enough for the crowd to notice. The veteran in the back straightens, his eyes locked on Kesler. A reporter scribbles furiously, sensing a headline. My CO chewed me out, Kesler continues, said I'd risked the mission, embarrassed the chain of command, but that vest was real. The blast would have killed 30 men, maybe more, including you, sir. The incident was classified, buried under the Official Secrets Act. I was told to keep quiet, and I did, for 10 years, until 3 days ago. He shifts his weight, the cuffs clinking softly. That man at the ceremony, the one I stopped, he wasn't just a tourist. He was checking his watch like he was counting seconds, carrying a bag that didn't match the manifest. I've seen that before in places where hesitation gets people killed. I radioed for a check, was told to stand down, to rotate off, for the guard change. I refused. I stayed because I knew what was at stake. This tomb, this place, it's not just stone. It's a promise to every soldier who never came home. I couldn't let that promise be broken. The crowd's silent now, every word landing like a stone. A woman in the back wipes her eyes. The NBC reporter's camera is steady, but her hands shake slightly. Callahan's staring at Kesler, his face unreadable, but you can see the gears turning. He remembers that day in Helmand, the convoy that made it through because of a sergeant who wouldn't back down. Kessler's voice drops, but it carries. After I stopped, that man's security found something in his bag. A device, sir, enough to take out half this plaza. It was set to go off during your speech, right here at the tomb. If I'd rotated off, if I'd followed orders, we wouldn't be having this conversation. The crowd erupts, gasps and murmurs, blending into a wave of sound. A kid whispers to his mom, "He stopped a bomb." The veteran shouts, "Damn right he did." Callahan's silent, his eyes locked on Kesler. A security officer steps forward, his voice low but urgent. "General, he's telling the truth. We found traces of explosives in the bag. The suspect bolted when we approached, but we've got him in custody now. Intel saying it was a coordinated plot tied to an overseas cell." The crowd's buzzing now. phones back up, live streams flooding social media. A reporter mutters, "This is bigger than Watergate." Callahan's jaw works once, then twice. He steps closer to Kesler, his boots clicking on the stone. "You disobeyed a direct order," he says, his voice low but clear. Twice. He pauses, and when he speaks again, there's something new in his tone. "And both times, you saved my life." The crowd lets out a collective breath, like they've been holding it for years. The mom in the crowd hugs her son, tears streaming. The veteran nods, his face grim but proud. Callahan turns to the MPs. "Release him." There's a moment's hesitation, protocol grinding against reality. But the cuffs come off, the sounds louder than when they went on, like a door slamming shut on a mistake. Kesler flexes his wrist, red marks visible where the metal bit. In, then resumes his position, rifle back in his hands. Callahan addresses the crowd, his voice carrying the weight of command but softened by something human. This man acted on instinct, forged in war, not defiance. The uniform he wears isn't just for show. It's a shield for this nation, for this tomb, for every soldier who never came home. "I owe you my life, Sergeant." Twice over. The crowd's quiet now, the kind of quiet that feels sacred. Callahan gives a small nod, not formal but real, weighted with meaning no protocol could capture. The general steps back, addressing the officers behind him. "I want a full review of security protocols, and I want to know why a man with Kessler's record was questioned instead of trusted." The officer who pushed for the arrest shifts uncomfortably, his face pale. Callahan continues, louder now. "Effective immediately, any Sentinel with combat experience will have direct access to report threats, no matter the chain of command. No soldier should face arrest for protecting this place." The crowd murmurs approval, a few clapping softly. The veteran calls out, "About damn time." A reporter's already on her phone, telling her editor to clear the front page. Callahan turns to Kesler one last time. "I'm ordering a full honors review of your service record, Sergeant. Your contributions have been overlooked for too long." Kesler doesn't respond. He doesn't need to. He steps back into position, resuming his 21 steps, his boots clicking against the stone like nothing ever happened. The crowd starts to disperse, but the air is different now. People aren't just talking about what they saw, they're processing what it means. A young journalist tweets, "Today at Arlington, a Sentinel showed us what courage looks like. This is why we honored the fallen." The mom from earlier kneels by her son, pointing at Kesler. "That man didn't just guard the tomb, he guarded everyone here, including us." Her son nods, eyes wide, no longer glued to his phone. The veteran approaches the rope line, his voice rough but steady. "That's what a real soldier does, kid. Stands up when it counts, no matter who's giving the orders." Nearby, the tourist couple reviews their footage. "Look at this," the husband says, pointing to his phone. "Right when the general shook his hand, you can see it. Everything changed." His wife nods, pulling her coat tighter. "He didn't even smile, just went back to his post. That's what makes him a hero." As the afternoon fades, Kesler keeps marching. 21 steps. Turn, pause, repeat. The floodlights cast long shadows, his silhouette sharp against the marble. He's not just a sentinel anymore. He's a reminder of what the tomb stands for. Not just ceremony, but sacrifice, courage, the kind of duty that doesn't bend even under the weight of handcuffs. So what do you think? Was Kesler right to break that order, knowing it could end his career? Should Callahan have handled it differently? Maybe behind closed doors? And here's the big one. In a world where orders are everything, when does your own judgment matter more? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read everyone. If this story hit you, if it made you think about what honor really means, hit that like button. It helps more than you know. Subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss our next story. These moments of quiet courage happen more than you think, and we're here to tell them. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who might think the tomb is just a monument. Let them see what standing guard really means. Another story is waiting for you right now. Click it, and we'll see you tomorrow with another moment that proves one truth. Real courage doesn't shout. It just stands there, ready no matter the cost.